Congratulations, and thank you for selecting a Sears Gamefisher outboard motor. It's been designed, engineered, and manufactured to give you the best possible dependability and performance. This video will help you get all the enjoyment you expect from your new outboard. This information, plus additional important information, is explained in detail in your printed operator's manual. It's very important that you read and understand the contents of your operator's manual before you operate your Gamefisher outboard. So be sure to use this video as a supplement to, not a replacement for, the manual. Every engine is factory run and tested before delivery and backed by a 1-year Sears service warranty. Proper mounting and installation are important to getting top operational performance and long life from your new outboard. Here are a few important tips. If your boat does not have an engine mounting plate, here's what you need to do. Mark the vertical center line, which is the exact middle of the stern of the boat. Use this mark to center the engine on the transom. Now, if your boat does have an engine mounting plate, mount the engine in the center of the plate. Once the engine is centered, mark the holes for the stern bracket. Remove the engine, drill the holes, and remount the engine. Hand tighten the stern bracket clamp screws, moving from one to the other until they're both tight. Before each use, you should always recheck the screws to make sure they're tight. We recommend that you also attach a safety cable for added security. Bolt the lower end of the stern brackets to the transom. Then make sure you seal all bolt holes that are below the water line with a high-quality silicone sealer. For fuel, use a gasoline with a minimum octane rating of 87 and mix it with outboard engine oil that is certified by the National Marine Manufacturers Association, such as TCW2 or TCW3. During the new engine break-in period, which is the first tank of fuel, use a 25-to-1 mixture ratio of gasoline to oil. In the 3-gallon fuel tank that comes with a 5-horsepower Gamefisher, mix 16 ounces of oil with 3 gallons of gasoline. Now for the 6-gallon fuel tank that comes with 9.9, 15, and 25 horsepower Gamefishers, be sure to mix 32 ounces of oil with 6 gallons of gasoline. After the break-in period, use a 50-to-1 mix, which is 8 ounces of oil to 3 gallons of gasoline, or 16 ounces of oil to 6 gallons of gasoline. To mix fuel thoroughly, put some of the gasoline into the fuel tank. Pour in all the oil and stir or shake the tank. Pour in the remainder of the gasoline. Stir or shake again, this time for at least 1 minute. Remember, use only gasoline mixed with oil. Otherwise, serious engine damage will occur. To connect the fuel line to the quick disconnect fitting on the motor, simply slide the sleeve back on the coupler and then place the sleeve on the bushing. Release the sleeve to lock the coupler in place. For more information on mounting, installation, and fuels, see your operator's manual. There's also a chapter on lubrication. Up next, controls. Here's a look at the controls on your new Gamefisher outboard, starting with a warm-up knob. When starting a cold engine, pull this knob out to enrich the fuel-air mixture. Here's the stop button. Push it in to stop the engine. The shallow water drive bar lets you tilt the outboard to operate at low speeds in shallow water. The shift lever allows shifting in and out of neutral, forward, and, on engines larger than 5 horsepower, reverse gear. This shift lever must be in the neutral position when starting. For added safety, engines above 5 horsepower cannot be started in gear. The throttle handle is used to increase and decrease speed. It also has 2 positions: start, the position for starting the motor, and shift, the position you go to before shifting the engine to forward or reverse. Before shifting, turn the throttle control to the lowest speed possible. For added comfort, the handle and engine are rubber mounted to absorb vibrations before they reach your hand. The lanyard switch shuts off the engine ignition whenever the operator, when attached to the lanyard, moves far enough away from the operator's position. The engine will not start or run unless the lanyard switch is reconnected. Do not operate the engine without attaching the lanyard cord securely to the operator and the engine. This is the prime button. Pushing it supplies a small amount of fuel to the carburetor for starting a cold engine. Pulling the starter rope turns the engine over for starting. Now, let's take a look at the basic operation of your outboard. To tilt the engine up out of the water, turn the engine off and push the tilt release lever down to the release position. Grasp the handle on back of the engine cover and pull the engine forward until it reaches the tilt stop. Push the tilt lock down or in to lock the engine in the tilt position. To return the engine to the operating position, grasp the handle on back of the engine cover and pull slightly forward. Pull the tilt lock up to release the engine. Push the tilt release lever up to the engage position. On 9.9, 15, and 25 horsepower models, the tilt release lever must be engaged at all times during operation except when tilting the engine. For shallow water drive operation, turn the engine off, tilt the engine, and lock it in the up position. Lift the shallow water bar up until it clicks into its up position. Pull the tilt lock up and slowly lower the engine, making sure the shallow water drive bar rests against the engine lock bar. The throttle arm drops down for convenient handling during transportation or storage. Lift the arm up slightly, then push and hold the lock lever down. Drop the arm until it clears the lock lever. Because the engine is water-cooled, it must be in water when starting or operating. Starting the engine out of water may cause permanent and serious engine damage. To start a cold engine, first make sure the lanyard cord is attached to the lanyard switch. Also, be sure the cord is securely attached to the operator during use. The front of the engine has a decal which describes the starting procedure. Make sure the vent screw on the fuel tank is open and that there is fuel in the tank. Be certain the fuel is properly mixed with the correct amount and type of oil. Squeeze the prime bulb on the fuel line several times until it becomes firm. Push the prime button once. Pull the warm-up knob all the way out. Make sure the shift lever is in neutral position. Engines above 5 horsepower won't start unless the shift lever is in the neutral position. Turn and hold the throttle handle in the start position and pull the starter rope gently to remove slack. Briskly pull the rope to start the engine. Allow a few minutes for warm-up, then push the warm-up knob back in. Turn the throttle control to the slowest position as indicated on the decal on the handle. Move the shift lever to the right for forward operation and to the left for reverse. Always shift with a quick snapping motion. Never ease the engine into gear or the shift could be damaged. Avoid shifting into gear when the engine is not running. To restart a warm engine, place the shift lever in neutral. Turn and hold the throttle handle in the start position and pull the starter rope to remove slack. You don't need to use the choke when starting a warm engine. Pull the rope to start the engine. To stop the engine, reduce speed and return the shift lever to neutral. Press the stop button and hold it in until the engine stops. A couple of other operation tips to keep in mind. When the boat is on plane, the propeller shaft should usually be parallel to the surface of the water. However, depending on the design and style of your boat, you may find that your boat either porpoises or plows when the prop shaft is parallel to the surface of the water. If either of these conditions exist, you may need to change the position of the lock bar. To avoid an undesirable porpoising condition, Move the lock bar closer to the boat transom. Conversely, to avoid an undesirable plowing condition, move the lock bar farther from the boat transom. Be sure to properly adjust the steering friction control on all models by turning it clockwise to tighten friction and counterclockwise to loosen friction. The steering friction should be tight enough to maintain your desired course. Always keep a firm grip on the tiller handle during operation. When the engine is idling, check to make sure a spray of water is coming out the idle relief holes. This indicates that the water pump is working. If there is no water spray, stop the engine immediately and contact your dealer for service. For additional troubleshooting, adjustment, operating, and maintenance information, including winterizing and storage, be sure to read your operator's manual. Your Gamefisher outboard engine is covered by a 1-year limited warranty starting from the date of purchase for recreational users. If the outboard requires service during the warranty period, take it to your nearest Sears Service Center. For the name, location, and telephone number of your nearest Sears Service Center, simply call this toll-free number, 1-800-4REPAIR. Hey, thanks again, and congratulations on your purchase of a Gamefisher outboard from Sears. By following the tips in this video, plus those in your operator's manual, you can expect many years of enjoyment from your new outboard. Happy boating!